再婚なんかする必要ないよ。
How's it going, everyone? My name is Michael SK, and welcome back to Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 6. Okay, if you guys have not watched the last episode, please do, because while we are 6 episodes in, this being the 7th episode, I believe, in this chapter, yeah, everything is already kind of happening. Like, it feels very early for things to really be happening like this, but yeah, Rena straight up murdered Rena. And I don't know, I guess we're going to not get to know more about her. I guess she was that simple of an antagonist, and she has been dealt with. A variable that has been completely taken care of in this entire situation. And she had a lot going for her because she was connected to Sotoko's uncle, and there was all of that, but nope, Rena quickly took care of her. There was no planning like what we saw with Keiichi trying to do to Sotoko's uncle in Chapter 3. There was no consideration for really anything. It was just, alright, I'm being attacked, I need to do something to defend myself, and oh, well, I killed her in the result of that, so that's how it is now. Rena is dead. And wow, was I totally wrong with my prediction on... I remember my prediction from the beginning of the chapter. I was like, oh, Rena, you know, that's like Rena, but a different vowel in the middle of the name. There must be some sort of connection there. No, I was way off, but, you know, was I really? I actually kind of was. All right, so let's see what happens now that Rena is literally no longer in the picture. That was the first thing I said after I got home. My father looked stunned. He noticed the sad tone in my voice, and realizing that I didn't agree with the idea of his remarriage, he looked down.
無理もないよな。レイナの気持ちもわかるよ。事前にレイナにもよく相談。
プロポーズなんて取り消せばいい。
あんな女なんて言い方しちゃダメだ。リナさんは
本当のことを話す。あの女とテツという男は二人組の悪人。我が家の財産を狙ってお父さんに近づいてきただけ。
My father didn't get it right away, of course. He looked upset because I called her that woman. I should have chosen my words a little more carefully, but I think I told him the truth clearly enough. I told him everything I heard and saw at the coffee house, and as I expected, he defended Rena anyway. I was upset, but at the same time, it made me certain that there was no other way than to kill her. Well, I don't know, I feel like if we waited on Kasai, you know, something maybe could have happened out of that, but oh well, you know, we got things to do. I felt the pressure on my shoulders lessen for some reason. My father thought he needed my approval for his remarriage, so he held back his anger and put a fake smile on his face instead.
なあ、レイナ。もう一度ゆっくりとお父さんたちと話し合おう。そうすればきっと分かってくれるから。
A tamed animal is still tamed even after the owner is dead. And that's okay. I'll open the gate anyway. Even a tamed animal will notice one day that he's no longer in captivity. And that's not something I could teach him. He had to realize it on his own. I couldn't stand his fake smile anymore, so I left the living room. Time healed the pain from the divorce. Time heals any kind of pain. Just like how dripping water will eventually bore a hole through solid rock. I did what I could. Now I'd have to wait. But the day I was going to wait for came earlier than I expected. At midnight of the following day, we had a visitor. It was that Techon man, Tepe Hojo. Ah, well, I guess things really are gonna escalate here. Tepe didn't even knock on the door to get in. He broke into the house by smashing the window. At first, I thought he came here to ask us about Rena's whereabouts, but I was wrong. The real reason why Tepe came here was because it was their plan. It was the last stage of their Badger game. Rena was probably supposed to be in bed with my father at that time tonight. Tepe must have wanted to show up and catch them sleeping together. Maybe waiting for Kasai wasn't going to work out then. Tepe looked around the house, but he couldn't find Rena. He didn't change the plan though. He grabbed my father by his collar and started yelling threats. He showed my father a certificate of marriage to Rena and shouted at him saying, "You got my wife pregnant, how are you going to take responsibility?" My father had no idea she was married and he looked shocked. My father is a short guy who is faint of heart. He just let Tepe do and say whatever he wanted from beginning to end. I looked at them from a distance coldly. And the more Tepe yelled and threatened my father, the faster he'd wake up from his bad dream. This was a medicine for him. Tepe was cutting out the cancer that I was going to depend on time to do, and he was doing a great job of it. I waited to help my father until I was sure that he had finally awakened from his bad dream. I told Tepe that I had something very important to tell him and took him outside.
で、なんじゃい？重要な話っちゅうんは。
リナさんって昨日以来沖宮に帰ってますか？
ん？
実はリナさん、事情があって隠れてるんです。
あ？どういうこっちゃ？
リナさんから哲平さんが来たら連れてきてほしいと言われてるんです。
あ？リツコのやつどうしたんだい？
Tepe followed me without hesitation. We walked in the dark with a flashlight. Oh my god. Is she actually going to kill this man too? Oh my gosh, bro. We're only 6 minutes into this episode. We walked in the dark with a flashlight to the place where nobody comes and nobody can hear us, the place forgotten. He asked me many things on the way, but I couldn't answer any of them. I just told him to ask Rena. The way I said it seemed to make him think that Rena was going to betray him and get married to my father for real. Even though he was breathing heavily in rage. Or in a rage, excuse me. He walked right behind me without any suspicions. Damn, this guy's really, idiotic. I knew this day was going to come very soon, so I was well prepared for it. We reached the place where I originally planned to bring him, and I turned off the flashlight all of a sudden.
どうしたんね？
Everyone gets nervous when the only light in the dark goes off. But this is my territory. I didn't need any light. I could feel my surroundings even better with my eyes closed. I grabbed the big hatchet I'd hidden in a bush and lifted it up high.
ごめんなさい。電池の接触不良かな。ちょっと待ってくださいね。
ああ、はよせんとね。
I purposely sounded weak and helpless while I raised the hatchet into the air.
ああ、ライターあるわ。出すんね。
Tepe found a lighter in his pocket and lit it up. And what is he gonna see? You know, what is gonna be right in front of him? He probably couldn't understand the sight illuminated by that small light. He saw a girl lifting up a big hatchet right in front of him.
Huh?
Tepe's eyes went wide. He didn't understand what was going on, but he understood that his life was in danger. And yet, he must not have been able to think fast enough to deal with it, even though he understood what he should do. Even if he could think fast enough and blocked his head with his arms, it wouldn't have meant anything. I knew Tepe would come to my house eventually. And that's why I prepared for that day. I just didn't think that preparation was going to bear fruit tonight. I chose my weapon very carefully. I planned when, where, and how I was going to attack him. And so, there can only be one result. The hatchet cut deeply into his forehead. I felt an indescribable vibration through the hatchet when it hit him, and this told me that I broke his skull. He bragged about how good he was at fighting at the coffee house, but he sure went down quickly when faced with a murderous weapon. He was done in by a single blow. Tepe slowly fell to his side with the hatchet in his forehead. He looked like a victim in a B-movie. I killed this big guy with just one hatchet. He was probably quite experienced in the world of violence, but I was better than him when it came to killing. Why? Because I've killed someone before. It's all done now. The bad people who deceived my father and tried to rob him blind are all gone. I did what I had to do in order to protect my life. If I had this much courage and determination when my mom told me about the divorce, I might have killed Akihito. If I did, I would have taken the life of only one. Because I couldn't do it back then, I've had to kill 2 people in the last 2 days. Rena, let's finish this up. There's already a place to hide his body. I took care of everything. My hands were wet, so I shone the flashlight at them. I thought it was blood, but it was just sweat. Even so, I still felt uncomfortable and shone the flashlight at my hands several times. I did all this in order to be happy. I did all this so I should be happy now. I tried so hard that I got blood on my hands. I wanted to get credit for that from him. Oyashiro-sama, let me ask you a question. I can finally rewind the time back to the day everything started to go wrong, can't I? I'm going to stay in Hinamizawa. I'm going to live happily with my father forever. Yeah, I'm sure that'll work out. So she did plan some things out. It's just, I guess because we didn't, go through that with her, she didn't overthink things or over-exaggerate the process or anything like that. I don't know. It's rare to see Rena sleep in class. Yeah, I'm sure it is. She isn't the kind of girl who sleeps in class because of staying up so late. She had to have been tired from doing housework or something. Everybody seemed to be thinking the same thing. Nobody tried to wake her up. Oh, not even Chie-sensei, I think is what that said. She got up for a few seconds and went back to sleep. She swayed back and forth like she was rowing a boat. But she's in class, so I should wake her up, right? I was about to wake her up, but before my hand touched her, Mion gave me a sign not to.
寝かせてあげなよ。たまにはそういう日もあるよ。
それもそうだな。
I heard a few days ago that Rena lives with her father. She studies during the day and plays a lot after school and does things around the house after that. I didn't know that. I also didn't know her mother had divorced her father. Mion told me that, and she also told me not to talk about it because Rena is still hurt by the divorce.
そんな苦労をしてるなんて全然気づきもしなかったぜ。
レナはそういうのを表に出さないタイプだよね。ひょっとすると普段陽気に振る舞っているのもそういう風に意識して振る舞っているからかもね。
Rena told me that happy days will one day come to an end, excuse me. She told me she knew that firsthand. What could she have been through? I had no idea. And that's probably why she tried to spend as much time as peacefully and cheerfully as she could. I must have hurt her feelings when I said I was bored of having happy days. When I thought about it, I felt bad for living off my parents, who are both healthy and happy. For that matter, Sodoko and Rika-chan lost their parents too. Mion lives with her grandmother away from her parents because she needs to learn to be the head of the Sonozaki family in the future. When I realized all that, I felt bad about my situation.
別にケイちゃんが両親と生活してることを申し訳なく思うことはないよ。
I'm also fairly certain that in Chapter 3, Rena and Keiichi also had a conversation very similar to the one they had last time, where Rena was talking to him about how, like, yeah, you gotta save these happy days because, they're not gonna be around forever and all that. Or maybe that was with Rika, I can't remember. It makes sense for it to be with Rena, but my mind is an enigma and my memory is dog shit. Mion seemed to have read my mind. She said it with a cool expression on her face, excuse me.
確かに家族ってのは生まれてきた子供である私たちにとって一番最初のコミュニティなんだと思う。でもね、コミュニティは家族だけじゃないんだよ。
仲間か。
わかってるじゃん。
俺たちはレナにとって家族に負けないくらいの存在なんだろうか。
掃除洗濯、炊事に買い物。それに疲れて昼寝だけして過ごすことだってレナにはできるんだよ。でもレナはそれをしない。放課後の時間いっぱいを私たちと部活をして過ごす。それはつまりなんて言えばいいのかな。そう、仲間ってことなんだよ。
レナにとっては家族と同じくらいの意味のある仲間ってことなのか。
Mion looked stunned, as if she didn't understand what I was talking about.
ああ、ケイちゃんが今日まで仲間って言葉をどういう意味で使ってきたか知らないけどさ、仲間ってのは家族と全く同格じゃないのかな。
難しく考えることではないのですよ。
Rika-chan joined our conversation.
居場所があればいいのです。それがある場所を家族と言ったり仲間と言ったり呼び方が少し変わるだけのことなのですよ。
リカちゃんにとって家族と仲間は同じものか。
Well, shit, I hope so. It's all that she's got.
僕はそうだと思っていますです。サトコもミーもそしてレナもそうだと思いますですよ。
And I can see that with some of my friends as well. friends that I've known for years and years and years. Like, I would say at this point, even more than a decade. And I don't know. It's just, you know, the bonds, what we've been through, it really creates a sense of family. You care about your friends that much.
だから私たちはいつも一緒にいようとするんじゃないかな。
リカちゃんはみんなといると寂しくないか？
みんなは家族なのです。寂しくなんかないのですよ。
Mio nodded in agreement. Sadako was talking with her other classmates, but I'm sure she would nod as well. Rena would too.
俺ちょっと恥ずかしいよ。
ん？
今日まで俺仲間って言葉を使ってきたけどさ、本当の意味で理解してなかったと思う。仲間ってのはもっともっと大切でかけがえのないすげえもんなんだよな。
I mean, yeah, definitely. I would say friends in a way can be like that, but you can be friends with anybody. Like, I have a whole bunch of friends, I would say. I'm not saying that to not sound like a loner or anything, trust me. But I have friends that, you know, I'm happy to know them, I'm happy to have worked with them, and what have you, but then I've got even closer friends, and those are the ones I would say are family. So I think it really just depends.
それすっごく当たり前のことだからさ。
I mean, in a situation like this, it's like, okay, it kind of makes sense for family to be kind of taken into consideration as a definition for friends here.
もし今日まで分かってなかったならよく胸に刻んだ方がいいよ。
そうだな。そうするぜ。
And I will too.
あと
Because that actually
そ
might
れ
play
を
a
二
part
度
in
と
some
口に
things
し
later
ない方
on.
がいいかもだね。今ケイちゃんかなり恥ずかしいこと言ってたと思うよ。
After all that, Mion still made fun of me. I think I understand a little better why Rena was always so serious about having fun. I want to be her best friend, and I want to do my best to be deserving of her effort.
ふう。
Rena snored, it sounded cute. Ch.6 let her sleep in class, but she couldn't let her get away with snoring.
委員長、竜宮さんを起こしてください。
レーナ、ほらほら。
Rena was still half asleep and made a strange noise. Everybody in the class laughed. Rena noticed they were laughing at her, woke up right away, and acted like she wasn't sleeping at all. It looked really funny, and I burst into a fit of laughter. Outside the window, the sky was blue and the clouds were pure white. It was still June, but it looked like the middle of summer. This perfect weather wouldn't last forever. It could get cloudy and rain all of a sudden. And that's why we had to play and raise a ruckus while we still had this perfect weather. The cries of the cicadas sound as if they're laughing at us because we still have some classes left. Ah, damn it, I can't wait for school to finish.
どうしたんだろう。ケイチ君すっごく嬉しそうだね。今日は何かあるの？
別に今日何かあるわけじゃないぜ。今日は今日だし、明日は明日だろ。今日が晴れてるならそれで十分。明日の天気なんか知ったこっちゃないってことさ。だから今日という日を俺は精一杯遊び倒したい。いつ天気が崩れたって後悔しないくらいに徹底的にな。
I learned that from Rena. I learned that peaceful days are the happiest days you can have, and that they're irreplaceable.
ミオ、今日の部活はなんだ？それに最近罰ゲームがちょいと刺激不足だぜ。
言うねケイちゃん。そこまで言うなら今日の放課後には生き地獄ってやつを拝ましてあげるよ。
ケイチ君、あんまりミーちゃんを挑発しちゃダメだよ。
おいおい、臆すのかよレナ。上等じゃないかよ。また俺たちの実力で大暴れしてやろうぜ。俺とレナの決着だってまだまだついちゃいないんだからな。
I grinned at her and she grinned back.
それもそうだね。よーし、レナも思いっきり頑張るぞ。レナさんには先日の借りがございますものね。きっちり倍返しさせていただきましてですわよ。
いいねいいね。盛り上がってきたよ。
く放課後になるといいのです。
I couldn't wait either, but that time we spend just talking together is also very precious.
そうだな。早く放課後になるといいな。
It's interesting, these back and forth perspectives that we're having with Rena and Keiichi. Like, it's not that one is more... Well, I don't know what the word could be. Oh, my favorite wine. I don't have a favorite personally. Collateral was the achievement name there, and what a lovely image for that one. Yeah, obviously Rena's in more with the know of what's happening here, and Keiichi not so much. I don't know what the word could be there, but maybe it's best that he doesn't know what Rena's going through and he kind of just gets the general idea of the theme. Probably for the best. Sadako went to join the children playing in the schoolyard. Since I didn't feel like going, I decided to stay at home. Most likely she wouldn't be back until the evening. When Sadako wasn't around, I had ways of spending time without her. Besides, that was what I wanted to do anyway. I feel like we're following Satoshi. Or maybe Rika. I stuck my hand deep inside the pile of winter futons in the closet and pulled one out. This is probably Rika because this is their house, isn't it? Next, I filled a stylish-looking glass with ice. The ice made in the freezer smelled of chlorine, though, and didn't taste good. Store-bought ice would be the best, but since Sadako kept asking me what I was using it for, I stopped buying it. But it might be worth spending time to think about a good excuse for that if it meant I would be able to enjoy ice without ever again smelling the chlorine. I filled the glass with mineral water and then poured a little bit of another liquid into the glass. Watching the color mix into the transparent water was a very pleasant thing. This wasn't the right way to drink it, but I liked it that way and didn't want to hear any complaints. My body is very convenient because I can get drunk with only a tiny amount. And that's why I dilute that small amount with a full glass of water. And thanks to that, I could enjoy a single bottle for a long time. It wasn't bad, if you thought about it like that. I put a cushion on my favorite spot by the window, and with the glass in one hand, I enjoyed the familiar view and the soft wind brushing through my hair. A slightly sweet, ripened aroma tickled my nose. And just when I was about to start enjoying the atmosphere, the annoying one was coming back. She didn't like this bad habit of mine, and she complained every time I tilted the glass. She started nagging me noisily.
うるさいな。少しくらい我慢なさい。何を飲もうと食おうと、私の勝手でしょ。
ダメなのです。その飲み物はあなたにはまだ早いのです。
Who the fuck? I tried to ignore her, but she started making a fuss, as if trying to ruin the atmosphere on purpose. There was no way I can enjoy getting drunk like this. I glared at her and threw the drink out the window.
なんで私が憂鬱か知りたい？私の死に方が決まったからよ。
It seemed like she finally understood why I wanted to drown myself in alcohol.
そんなに落ち込まなくてもいいのよ。割と一瞬で死ねるから、そんなに怖くないわ。
My body will be burned and cut in pieces, but I'll be able to die instantly.
でも、またダメなのです。
そうね。またダメね。これだと。私の命日はいつだっけ
？6月の25日の夜だと思いましたです。
綿流しの祭りが終わってからだいたい1週間後か。まあ妥当なあたりね。
やっぱり僕のせいなのでしょうか？
決まってるでしょ。あんた自覚ないの？
Who the fuck is this? She was the one who asked me, yet she cried when I told her she was right. Ah, geez, she's always so annoying.
頑張りましょう。次のすごろくではきっと6が立て続けに出てくれることもあるわよ。
What do you mean by 6? And in a row? June 25th. I still had 10 more days. I was going to relax and enjoy those 10 days. I still had some wine left too. Okay, so this is our second tip in this chapter that followed Rika, and by this time we should be fully aware of her true self, or whatever you want to call it. And last time I was fairly certain that she was referring to her other self. Unless she's just straight up faking that the entire time. And so is the person that she's been referring to someone actually, like, somebody that we've never met? The question marks in both of those tips. I mean, obviously this one too. Who was that? I don't know. I mean, there has to be a reason why we're getting these tips related to Rika in a chapter that has nothing to do with Rika, as far as I can tell. Something's happening. Something is happening. It had been very hot for the past few days, and the corpses went rotten quickly. Any housewife knows how fast fresh meat can go bad. I know it too, and that's why the first thing I did was to dismember the corpses. There was only one reason why I needed to dismember them. I had to reduce them to portable size in order to carry them to a place where they'll never be found. When men see the words dismembered corpses, they'll probably feel disgusted because they don't cook. But housewives are used to taking the guts out of fish, and they sometimes even see living maggots. They take the maggots off the food or even cook it with the maggots still on. No way. The heat will kill them after all. Women don't tell men what they do in the kitchen because men wouldn't eat the food if they knew. So it really did bother me, or it didn't really bother me much to dismember them. I was released from all my problems by killing them. Cleaning up the mess was like nothing to me, because I got freedom and regained my happiness. I dismembered the corpses using carpenter's tools like a saw and a hatchet. I'm wearing a black sweatsuit I bought for today because I thought I might get stained with blood. Blood stains don't show on black fabric, and I can just throw it away after it's done. I brought a plastic sheet I found in the dump because I thought the blood might spread otherwise. If I did the work on this sheet, I could just burn it after I was done. In the end, dismembering human bodies is no different from preparing food on a chopping board. What a fun pastime activity, am I right? Damn, this is taking all day, shit. I was very tired from chopping apart 2 adult bodies, but I didn't have a problem doing it. I cut off their arms, legs, and heads, dividing each body into 6 pieces. I heard before that blades get easily ruined by fat when you cut apart a corpse, so I brought many kinds of tools. And I was right. I didn't have to go back and forth between here and my house to get another tool in the middle of work. A long time ago, the construction manager was murdered and his body was dismembered here during the damn conflict. He was cut into 6 pieces in the same way. Well, I had 2 bodies and there was double that though. I remembered the main suspect was still on the loose and the victim's arm he hid hadn't been found yet. I wonder where he hid it. I'd like to ask him, I smiled wryly. And get some ideas, you know? Unlike the arms, legs, and heads, the torsos were difficult to take care of. Excuse me. I thought about cutting them into smaller pieces, but I decided against it because I thought it'd be troublesome to clean up the guts. I put each piece in a black trash bag and sprayed on a lot of deodorant. I wasn't sure if that would help against the smell, though. Many bugs flew around me while I was dismembering the corpses. After I finished putting all the pieces into each bag, the bugs were still flying around, but that was just because they could smell the blood. After I cleaned up everything, they were all gone. Now all I needed to do is get rid of these 12 black bags. Burning them would be the easiest, but I don't think I can burn them to ashes without using a cremator. The best way is to bury them somewhere. Other than the torsos, every piece is small enough to fit in my backpack. I could easily carry them without being noticed. I could throw them into the river running through the damn construction site, but if I did that, somebody would find them for sure. I've seen on the news several times before that a bag with a body part in it was found beside a river, and every time I heard something like that, I always thought the murderer was stupid. I thought about dumping them into the Onigafuchi swamp, but rotten meat floats. I thought about weighing the bags, but there's no guarantee that they'd stay down. So that left me with one choice: to bury them. The old Keiichi route. There are many unexplored mountains at the end of the abandoned districts around Yaguchi and Takatsuro, and it's probably best to bury them somewhere in the mountains. While it would be safe to bury them here in the garbage dump too, it's not perfectly safe. And so I'm going to bury all these bags somewhere deep inside of a mountain in order to completely erase the two of them. My joints hurt, since I've been using muscles I don't normally use. I cleaned up the mess very carefully and got into my hideout. While still wearing the sweatsuit, I laid down on the mattress. I washed my hands carefully, but there was still dirt and blood under my nails. I should take a shower later and wash it off completely. When I say things like disposing of corpses, it sounds like I'm the greatest evil of the century. But that's only true if I get caught. What I did isn't a crime as long as I don't get caught. Plus, I didn't do this because I wanted to commit a crime. I didn't do anything wrong. I did this to protect my father's life and mine. People might speak ill of me, but I don't care about them. In the end, I don't think anybody can really pass judgment on my sins. Sins aren't something to pass judgment on. They're something to confess and to atone for. In other words, nobody can measure the weight of a sin other than the person who committed the crime. Do I regret what I did? Do I feel sorry? No. I don't think I did anything wrong. I truly believe there was no better way than killing them. I'm sure it was the right thing because my life had already started to change since the night I killed them. A few days earlier, I just came home after killing Tepe. My father was cleaning the room Tepe had thrashed earlier. His eyes were swollen, he'd been crying.
レーナ、どこへ行ってたんだ？
あの男と話をしてきた。もうリナさんは二度とこの家に来ない。だからあなたも来ないでって言った。だから、あいつはもう来ないよ。
そんなのでおとなしくしてくれるやつじゃないぞ、きっと。
Oh, I think he actually will.
レイナもしばらくは用心した方がいい。
It's hard to explain to him why Tepe would never come back. I can't tell him he shouldn't worry because I killed him. I grabbed ice cubes from the freezer, put them in a plastic bag, and handed it to my father.
お父さん。はい。ほっぺた、すごい腫れてるよ。
He must have only just noticed it then.
ああ、ありがとう。
私が片付けるからいいよ。掃除機持ってくるね。
レイナ。
He called out to me.
お父さんが悪かった。ごめんな。
仕方ないよ。あいつらは騙すのがなりわいだもん。だから、お父さんは騙されただけだよ。
レイナは、あいつらがそういう連中だって知ってたのか？
うん。最近だけどね、言っても信じてくれないと思って言わなかった。ごめんね。
He looked down. When he told me about how he wanted to get remarried, I told him that they were bad people and that they scammed others with Badger games. But he didn't listen to me. So I was right in saying that he wouldn't have believed me at all.
お父さんは母さんとの離婚で落ち込んでいるところをつけ入られたんだよ。
お父さんは本当にダメなお父さんだよな。
Nah, I wouldn't say that. Like, you can be straight up neglectful. I think at that point you're a bad father. But you're just trying. You're just honestly fucking trying. And I think for that, you deserve some credit. It's just, as Rena said, us boys are pretty fucking stupid. So, you know, it kind of happened. So, I feel sympathetic. Not because I relate to him, but I understand that, you know, he's in a hurting position and he has been for a while, but I don't think he's a bad father by any means. And then he started talking about how he met Rena, as if trying to absolve his guilt. It was when he was suffering the most and he needed to drink away his sorrow. At a bar he happened to go into, Rena's son was the one who came to his table. It was her job to be a good listener when her customers talked. Rena must really have been a great listener and offered words of comfort when he talked about the divorce. If he was emotionally stable, he could have taken it as a kindness that she was only offering at the time. But he was so desperate that he took it the wrong way. After that, the tragedy was inevitable. He wanted to believe that it was destiny, and he glamorized everything about her. It would be easy to laugh at him and say that he was just dreaming. But I don't blame him, because being weak is also part of being human. He had plenty of opportunities to grow suspicious of her questionable spending habits, but my father just read even that behavior as an attempt to cheer him up. He bought everything she asked him to, and Rena had landed her catch. He shouldn't have brought his lover to the house where his daughter lived, but he was crazy about her and he didn't even think about it.
お父さんはお父さんであることを忘れちゃってたんだ。本当にどうかしてた。
He started crying. I held his shoulders gently.
いいよ。お父さんがそれに気づいてくれたなら、お父さんはお父さんなんだよ。私には一人しかいない。最後の肉親なんだから。
He couldn't stop moaning. We held each other and cried together. The next day, my father got up early in the morning. He was already cooking breakfast when I got up. And he told me,
お父さんは今日からしっかりするからな。
Hell yeah, that's the spirit.
でもお父さん、目玉焼きを焼く前にサラダオイルは敷いた方がいいと思うかな。
久しぶりの台所なんで。
He pried off the burning eggs on the pan with a spatula, and he added salad oil to it. It was too late. Doing that just made it an even bigger mess. But I didn't say anything because I wanted to eat his eggs, and I waited at the table quietly. He put the burned eggs on a plate and brought them over to me. It looked like he tried to salvage them by adding cheese, but it didn't really work. Still, it smelled good and crispy. It actually stimulated my appetite. Thick cut toast popped out of the toaster. I made coffee with extra milk and sugar because my father liked it sweet. We put everything on the table. It looked terrible, like the cooking class of an elementary school, but to me it was precious because my father tried very hard to make it wearing the apron.
匂いだけなら美味しそうだよ。あとは味だね。
やっぱり食事はレーナがやった方がいいかもな。これじゃかえって悪い気がする。
お父さんが仕事で忙しくなったら、また私が代わるよ。
Wait, he hasn't been working? It had been a taboo to talk about work in our house. He hadn't worked since the divorce. It wasn't only because of the divorce, though. He just didn't have to work because the settlement my mother gave him was so huge. Plus, I let him be lazy because I felt guilty about the divorce. But my father cleared his wrongdoing by showing repentance to me. And I also atoned for my sin of not doing anything about my mother by doing what I did the previous night. Now we are free of sin.
お父さん、仕事を探してみるよ。今日は職案に行ってこようと思う。
それはいいね。
It's not money that he wanted. He just needed a normal lifestyle. Yeah, kind of get in a groove, you
体力も
know?
ないからな。いい仕事があるか不安だよ。
どんな仕事ならいいの？
事務の仕事がいいけど、この年じゃなかなか雇ってもらえないだろうな。
私の友達に聞いてみるよ。みーちゃんはこの辺りの大地主のお嬢さんだから、ひょっとすると紹介してくれるかもしれないよ。
いいよいいよ、仕事くらい自分で探すよ。その程度にはしっかりしないとな。
I don't remember the last time we enjoyed breakfast like this. I don't even remember the last time we had breakfast together. For the first time in a long time, the morning light felt refreshing. I wanted to keep enjoying life like this, but unfortunately I had to go to school. I told him that I'd skip school that day and that I wanted him to take me somewhere fun, but he tried to be a good father and said that I had to go to school.
じゃあ、私学校行くね。
ああ、行ってらっしゃい。
He followed me to the front door. I was a bit embarrassed for some reason. He talked to me while I was tying my shoes. He followed me here not because he wanted to see me off, but because he wanted to tell me something.
お父さんは母さんとの離婚の後、ずっと寂しかった。でもお父さんはレイナと一緒だから寂しくなんかないんだ。そうだ、最初から寂しがることなんか何もなかったんだ。
お父さん、それを家族って言うんじゃないかな。
そうだな。そんなことを娘に教わるようじゃダメだな。
じゃあ、ケイチ君を待たせてるから、もう行くね。
行ってらっしゃい。ああ、そうだレイナ。今日はお父さんが夕食を作るぞ。食案に行くついでに買い物をしてくる。朝食みたいな失敗はしないから楽しみにしてるんだぞ。
楽しみにしてるよ。 行ってきます。
I left the house. My father saw me off, still in the apron. It was the first step of our new life. I finally regained it. I finally regained everything we lost after we left Hinamizawa. My mother wasn't around, but I didn't feel sad because I had my father. The cries of the cicadas sounded as if they were celebrating my new life. Interesting how everybody can just interpret the sound of the cicadas, the Higurashi, whatever, as something totally different. The sunshine was bright and the wind was sending up a nice breeze. The only thing that wasn't nice was the ticking clock. I was late because I spent too much time talking with my father. Keiichi-kun might already be gone. I don't think he'd be waiting for me that long. And yet there he was. Yeah, shit.
よおはよ
おはよう。遅れてごめんね。
う。いいってことよ。普段は俺がレナを待たせてるんだからな。たまには俺を待たさせろ。
ずいぶん遅くなっちゃったね。早足で行った方がいいかな。
そうだな。チャキチャキ行こうぜ。さもないと走る羽目になりそうだ。
みーちゃん、さすがに先に行っちゃってるかな。
待ってるだろう、絶対。俺たちは仲間だぜ。絶対に見捨てないし、勝手に行っちゃったりはしないよ。それはそうと、今日は朝からいいことでもあったのか？
どうしてかな。
いやさ、今朝のレナは普段にも増して上機嫌そうだったからさ、特別なことでもあったのかなって。
The good mood I was in must have been too obvious for Keiichi-kun to ignore. I had not only my family, but my friends too. I felt something warm spreading in my heart.
それがね、聞いて。朝食をお父さんが作ってくれたんだけどね。それがね。
なんだよ、目玉焼きはそれで正しいだろ？サラダオイルってのはサラダに使うもんなんだろ？
みーちゃんたちに教えてあげようっと。
Well, at least they made it to school.
なんですって？それは許しがたい暴言でございましてよ。
おう、上等だぜ。そこまで言うからには直接対決も辞さない覚悟だろうな。
おう盛り上がってるじゃない。なんなら今日の部活さ、さとことけいちゃんで外馬行こうか。
みーちゃん、外馬って何かな。
ああ、外馬ってのはよ、つまり俺とさとこだけで賭けをするってことさ。部活の順位がそのまま勝敗になって、負けた方は俺たちだけのペナルティを課す。
つまりどっちが勝っても負けても僕はとっても楽しいのです。
どうするさとこ。
素敵な勝負でございますことよ。部活にビリで罰ゲームな上に、さらに私に負けてダブルで罰ゲームなんて、こんな素敵なことがございまして。
よーしさとこ、よく受けたね。よっしゃ、今日の部活は2人の外馬付きでやろ
部活の種目より罰ゲームを何にするか考える方が楽しいのですよ。
確かに楽しいよな。さとこがどんな悲惨な目に遭うか今から想像できちまうぜ。
それはケイチさんのことでございましてよ。ブニー、やりましたわね。ブニー。
I have no idea what's happening.
う。ほら2人とも勝負はまだ始まってないって。
Ch.6 opened the door and came in.
皆さんお待たせしました。それでは帰りのホームルームを始めますよ。
Everybody headed to their seats.
みーちゃん、
何？
ケイチくんとさとこちゃんがとても盛り上がっているところで申し訳ないんだけど。
Wait, what are we ruining the mood about? I don't want to know. We'll save it for next time. We'll end this episode on a somewhat happy note, because everything seems to be going in a nice direction for the very tight moment that this probably is. It probably won't last very long. But with everything happening so early, all I can really assume is that this is just going to be a wild and long ride. from practically beginning to end. So we'll end it here. Thank you all for watching this episode. I hope you all enjoyed. There was something I wanted to bring up, but I actually forgot about it, so I'll probably have to wait till next time. It felt like something kind of related to a previous chapter, but yeah, it's completely gone from my mind. I should have brought it up when I thought about it, but it's all good. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that fancy jazz, and my mind will hopefully be working in the next episode. Take it easy, guys.